Alrighty, good folks. Time I show off the extra stuff in Final Fantasy. The bonus dungeons. File 1 was probably my dad's. Same with File 3. This game does belong to him. At any rate, here's the Earthgift Shrine. They're all located in 4 different places. This one you have to defeat Lich in order to get much further than that person there. Or that thing, if it's even considered a person. I mean, you're able to enter just from that one floor, but not much further than that. No enemy encounters. There's some I'd like to rant about in a bit. But in this one, you go through 5 floors and then make it to an optional boss. Many, if not all, which I've read that are bosses from later games in the Final Fantasy franchise. I wouldn't be sure this game and the NES version, and I guess you could count the PlayStation remake. This is pretty much the same game as it. Are the only Final Fantasy games I have ever made it all the way through. 7 was the only other one that I thoroughly enjoyed. I couldn't really get into Final Fantasy 5, 6, and 10 for some reason. Perhaps I just tried when I was very depressed and couldn't enjoy it enough. Here we are. I'm finally going to show off the Game Boy Advance extras in this. Although one problem is that, well, going through 5 floors in this shrine isn't too bad. Although, the amount of floors double each time. And you know your 3rd grade math. Unless by chance you're not even in 3rd grade yet. That means the next one would be 10. The one after that would be 20. And finally, 40 whopping levels. Yeah. That's pretty lengthy. And not gonna lie, I didn't really enjoy going through this optional dungeon. One rant I'd like to make about the Game Boy Advance port probably wasn't much of an issue, if at all, in the PlayStation version. Difference between this and the PlayStation version, even though the graphics and sound are pretty much the same, is that you gain a lot more gil this time around. So the money you receive is really generous. You level up a lot more quickly. And Pinnacle Studios is giving me trouble again, so it's probably going to be... My commentary is going to be a bit off. I'm sorry about that. At any rate, as we were going through Basement 3, which were rather pain for me, was that... because you level up so quickly, the enemies become weaklings very quickly, and yet the bosses become immensely tougher. They receive twice the amount of HP in the PlayStation remake, but there are a lot more multiplications in the amount of HP the bosses have this time around. See, one flaw of this game, the enemies are too weak for how tough the bosses can. I was able to make it through, the Sky Palace, whatever, at level 35. No sweat, but then I had to, when I keep trying to make it to Chaos and constantly beat him, I had to grind quite a bit to make it to level 50. Again, there's not too much grinding in this game, but the enemies are just become weaklings to the point where even Black Wizard here is able to kill most of them in one strike. Well, not one strike, but one turn, making magic having little use except for killing enemies a little quicker, perhaps. Well, most certainly kills them quicker, but that ends up just kind of wasting magic, and unless there's like 9 really tough enemies, you have no use for these thunder fire moves, most of your attack spells. Again, enemies are too weak for how tough the bosses have. Because Chaos is one deadly SOB, I must say. Say it took level 50 to be able to beat him. And yet, when the optional bosses in Hellfire, the next one coming up, ended up whooping my guys' arses. And the enemies there were hardly more formidable than the ones in here. I didn't have fun with these optional ones because you were constantly having to face through these weak enemies so damn much. And yet having to face a really tough boss at the end. It is not well balanced at all. They either sure have made the enemies tougher or the bosses weaker. Because it's not a particularly fun game to have with even having Boko be able to kill enemies in one turn. Probably not a good name for my Black Wizard, but I like the names of everyone else I gave. If you see my original playthrough, I originally had Fighter, Black Belt, White Mage, and Black Mage. I have changed it a little this time around because I didn't plan to have the same party members. I mean, I said I wanted to show off the other two. The other two classes I did not use in the original NES game. Red Wizard and Ninja. Ninja Power. So again, it wasn't fun going through these, and I'm not sure if I'm gonna work on the last two unless the enemies become like tough enough that it won't get boring having to go through these over and over. Because the worst part is, at least in this particular bonus dungeon, you have to go through it 4 times in order to show off all 4 of the bosses. One positive thing, though, I suppose, is that once you make it through, open all the treasure chests, every single one of them, you'll be able to enter again and collect those same items. Even though, again, there's so much currency in this game that you have little need for them. But I suppose it's better than nothing. Although, you do find some items that you wouldn't anywhere else. Like, for instance, you have the Silver Apple, which will increase, not restore, increase HP by 5. If it was restoring, it'd be a huge rip-off. But give it to any one of your party members, and they'll have a little more stamina. See, you can keep going through over and over for them silver apples and other armor that you won't be able to find anywhere else. At least I'm pretty sure you can't. Yeah, my guys are like level 50 now. Just after being able to finish Chaos for the first time. So look how much damage you're doing. Yeah, you make it to bosses. They're immensely hard hitting with having to deal like 150 damage with them. With their attacks. I'm trying to kill off all my party members at least. There's one particular that tries to kill one of your party members each turn, pretty much. But I'll explain in a little bit. And also one thing to mention, these dungeons are random each time, so you go through different floors every time. They seem to be the same in design. It's not like in Pikmin 2 where the design changes slightly. You go through the same design but different floors each time. I kind of fail to see the point in that. Like going through more tedious stuff first or later than when you went through the first time. But yeah, it changes each time for some odd reason. And now here I took 4 flippin' ever on this floor. It was under 10 minutes, but it felt like forever because I've been pretty much doing the same stuff over and over again. I kind of tried to mix it up by occasionally using spells even when I really, really didn't need them. Just to give you guys and gals. Mostly guys, because I doubt many females are watching my stuff. Because I'm a straight guy that's into straight stuff. But, yeah, try to mix it up, and it's still probably boring to watch, which is why I will not be showing off the designs again just before heading to the other bosses I will get to show off. In this room, you are constantly blocked by some skeletons and other enemies, but mostly skeletons. So you have to go through the same crap over and over if you really want to defeat all them bosses and collect the one special item they do give. See there, I really didn't use Thunder. As stated, even Black Wizard can defeat most of the enemies in one turn with their physical attack. So obviously with Valkyries have nuke still. Yeah. A bit overpowered, especially the main guy I'm using. He often hits around 1000 HP. I suppose one nice thing about these remakes, though, this includes the PlayStation version, is that they are more consistent with how much damage they do. When the NES version, it's a lot more random. You really have to make guesses. And here we are in some desert that you'll end up looping until you find some stairs to the next floor. Pretty boring area, but at least it's changed a bit from that deadly forest. Well, it wasn't that deadly, but the scenery sure looked that way. But yay, more sand with a few trees. How very exciting. Backgrounds are pretty cool though, at least. So what else can I bring up? I mean, there's still so much to bring up. What's different between this and the NES version? Like, for example, remember in the original Final Fantasy where if you use more than one light warrior to attack a monster, if one light warrior takes care of it, and use the other to try to kill it off, it ends up being a miss and not having to attack anyone else. Obviously, it was fixed in the remakes. I didn't mind it too much though, because it really made you consider, really, like, kind of test your memory and how much characters can do, even if some of it, if not a lot of it, has to do with luck. It really makes you consider which enemies to attack with who. Although I can understand if people find it immensely annoying, but at least people can't say it's a mindless RPG. Unlike this one where you're just rapidly pressing A just attack and occasionally magic spells.